What happens when a president who has ruled for over 40 years suddenly appoints his own son as a vice president and places him in charge of the military? Is it stability or the beginning of a political dynasty? And that is the reason why I would like us to break down one of the most controversial political moves in Africa right now: Paul Biya's decision to elevate his son Frank Biya to the second most powerful position in Cameroon. Paul Biya is not just any leader. At 93 years old, he is the oldest sitting president in the world, and he has ruled Cameroon since 1982. That is over 4 decades in power. Now, in a dramatic shift, Biya has introduced the position of vice president, a role that did not previously exist in the current constitutional structure. And within days, he appoints his own son. But this is not just a ceremonial role. Frank Biya is now the vice president, the head of the armed forces, and a key figure in the defense ministry. This means he controls both political authority and military power. You see, in many political systems, that combination is what defines real power. Here is where it gets even more strategic. Before this amendment, if the president died or became incapacitated, the Senate leader would take over temporarily. Secondly, elections would follow. Now, under the new law, the vice president automatically becomes president and serves out of the rest of the term without an immediate election. And remember, the vice president is appointed, not elected. So let's connect the dots. Biya creates a powerful vice presidency, then appoints his son, then changes the law so that position inherits power directly. This is not just governance reform. This is succession planning. Opposition leaders are not holding back. Maurice Kamto has called this move a constitutional and institutional coup. Others warn that Cameroon could be heading towards what they describe as a republican monarchy, a system where elections exist but power stays within one family. Even the Social Democratic Front boycotted the vote, arguing that such a powerful role should be jointly elected by the people, not handpicked by the president. But supporters of the government tell a different story. They argue the country needs stability, especially given Biya's age. A vice president ensures continuity in leadership and removes pressure from the Senate during crisis. In their view, this is about efficiency, not dynasty. This decision comes at a sensitive time. Cameroon is still dealing with political tensions after the disputed 2025 elections, ongoing divisions between Anglophone and Francophone regions, and increasing scrutiny over governance and democracy. So this move doesn't happen in isolation. It lands in an already tense political environment. So the real question is this a smart move to guarantee stability in uncertain times? Or is Cameroon witnessing the early stages of a hereditary transfer of power? To understand the weight of this decision, you need to understand who Paul Biya is. Paul Biya has ruled Cameroon since 1982. Over 40 years in power. At over 90 years old, he is one of the oldest sitting presidents in the world. For years, one question has dominated Cameroonian politics. Who takes over after Biya? That question may now have an answer. Just days before appointing his son, the government reintroduced the position of vice president, a role that had been absent for decades. And here is the key detail. The vice president is not elected by the people. He is appointed by the president. Even more critical, if the president dies, resigns, or becomes unable to govern, the vice president automatically takes over. No election, no transition battle. So, in short, this is a direct transfer of power. Guys, this is not just about giving his son a title. It is about controlling the line of succession, avoiding internal political competition, and securing influence beyond his presidency. In political terms, this is what analysts call institutionalized succession planning. But critics call it something else: dynastic politics. Opposition leaders and critics are already raising alarm. They argue that this move undermines democratic principles. It concentrates power within a single family, and it removes the people from choosing their next leader. Because, guys, let's be clear, Cameroon is now in a position where its next president may not come from an election, but from a family decision backed by law. This is not happening in isolation. Across Africa, there have been similar patterns. Leaders extending power through constitutional changes, political families maintaining influence across generations, state structures being shaped to control succession. But Cameroon's case stands out. Why? Because this transition is happening openly, legally, and strategically, not through a coup, not through chaos, but through policy and appointment. Now, the big question again is, will this plan hold? Ladies and gentlemen, several factors will determine that. So, public reaction inside Cameroon. The strength of the opposition, the loyalty of the military, and international pressure. If stability holds, this could become a model of controlled succession. If it doesn't, it could trigger political unrest and legitimacy battles. One thing is clear again. This is not just about today. It is about who controls Cameroon tomorrow. And perhaps more importantly, if you found this analysis insightful, ladies and gentlemen, subscribe for more deep political breakdowns across Africa, because sometimes the biggest stories are not about what is said, but what is being carefully planned. See you in the next video.